So sit comfortably as you hear the sound of the bell. Just let it grab your attention, bring it to this present moment. I might have to sneeze first. All right, here we go. And we'll begin by taking 3 deep, relaxing breaths together. First deep breath in. And exhale. Second breath in. And exhale. Third breath in. And exhale. Continue breathing deeply but slowly into your abdomen as you let the tension out of your body. Breathe more and more slowly until you're breathing as slowly as possible, without it being at all uncomfortable. And let yourself relax. Let any tension out of the muscles in your face. And relax. And bring all of your attention to this moment. First, be aware of your outer world. Be aware of the sounds, smells, tastes, the sensations on your skin. Be aware of the energy of the space. And the beings in that space. And just stay present to it. And be sensitive to what you're feeling. Be very present to it. And relax. Be aware of your inner world. Start with your body. Notice the breathing, the heart beating. Notice the energies and emotions that flow through the body. And just stay present and observe. Be aware without any judgment of what is spontaneously arising. Breathe slowly and just relax into it. Just allow whatever is there to be. Let it come, let it go. You just watch. Relax. No opinions of it. No judgments of it. No descriptions of it. Just be. Just observe. Observe the mind. Notice what thoughts come and go. But remain as the awareness that is aware of the thoughts that come and go. Don't judge what's in your mind, just observe it. It's arising spontaneously. Remain as the watcher. Remain as the one that is aware. Be aware that these thoughts and feelings are coming and going, but you are not coming and going. Let go of past, any thoughts or memories of past. Let go of future, any thoughts or imagination about future. And just breathe and be in this moment, resting, relaxing, in silence, allowing to what arises outside you and what is arising inside you to come and go, remaining as the silent watcher of it all. Welcome, welcome everyone to Satsang. Good to see you all. I think I could have meditated for an hour and a half there. Okay. Now, there's something I've been moved to talk to you about today that I think is very important. Perhaps difficult for me to describe, but of course it harkens to the quote that I sent out. And almost everyone is dealing with mind on the level of mind. Do you understand what that means? What does it mean to deal with mind on the level of mind? And please use the microphone.
you're in a state where you're not the observer. You are your thoughts. You're in your thoughts. There's no separation on the level of mind from observer to mind.
Okay. So sometimes it's easier to explain the opposite, right? Of, you're not in the seat of the observer, the state of the observer, right? Is what you said?
Yeah.
As the observer, you would be observing the mind. But what is dealing with mind on the level of mind? What does that look like practically? Chaos. Yeah. Muhammad Ali and George Foreman in your head. It's very important that you understand this. This satsang has the potential to really propel you in your practice. Because this is a very, very difficult thing. Well, I don't like setting things up that way. Let's not say it's very, very difficult. Let's pretend I didn't say that. But we are so expertly versed with conversations in our head, that this tennis match is always going on in our head. And what most people are trying to do is deal with mind on the level of mind. Deal with thought on the level of thought. I have to change my thinking. I have to go from negative thinking to positive thinking, and all of this other stuff. That can have some minimal value, okay? But dealing with mind on the level of mind is all thought-based. So you're dealing with thoughts on the level of thoughts and trying to think yourself into enlightenment. That doesn't work. But it's so hard to stop doing that because that's what we always do. It's what we've always done. Think for as far back as we can remember. And I think that our memories, the reason we can remember mostly when we started to learn language and started to have memories in the form of language. I mean, we can remember images and feelings too, but most of our memories are in language, or in concepts, ideas, stories. So this is very important. I want to bring you guys up a little bit. Now I can see you. Okay. Now the spotlight's on you. Mind on the level of mind, John?
Yeah, I want to share something. It's very, it happened today. Mm-hmm. And I'm very proud of myself. And I found like a kind of solution. I don't know, maybe perception, but I had a business appointment today scheduled for 4 o'clock in Dania Beach, mm-hmm. south of the airport in Fort Lauderdale. Mm-hmm. It was set up on Monday. So I knew enough to confirm. Mm-hmm. And I started trying to confirm around 1:30. I called, left a voicemail, sent a text, called an outside third party saying if he has any knowledge I can't reach the client. He calls me back, they're expecting you at 4 o'clock. Mm-hmm. I get another communication in the car that everything's a go. I get there, and I'm...
Wait, can I guess?
Well, yeah. But I'm more interested in how I reacted. Yeah. I get there, and I shake his hand, and, he starts to say, we have a dilemma, or something to that effect. Mm-hmm. Immediately, I anticipated the reality that was about to come within seconds. Mm-hmm. And I had a smile on my face, mm-hmm. even though I'm in back of my head, it's coming.
Right.
So no sooner does he say that we can't get into the building because Rose has the keys mm-hmm. and the check.
Right.
he hardly got the words out of his mouth. I don't even know if he got that far.
Mm-hmm.
When he was saying, I have a dilemma, I'm shaking his hand
Mm-hmm.
and saying it was nice to meet you.
Mm-hmm.
Please give me a call if you like.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of stops me.
Mm-hmm.
He feels motivated to explain to me
Yeah.
why just moments ago, 3 times,
Yeah.
they confirmed everything's a go.
Mm-hmm.
In reflecting on it, I wanted that reality, like a pinch, prick,
Mhm.
a needle prick,
Mm-hmm.
to be over instantaneously and in the past.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why I was gesturing to him, nice to meet you,
Yeah.
and I wanted out.
Yeah.
Then on the way home, 4 o'clock, it's not a short ride,
Mm-hmm.
I-95. I'm basically in a thoughtless zone
Mm-hmm.
without trying to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I got back home, I said, John, it's almost like that never happened.
Yeah.
I wanted to end the reality with a minimal time imprint on my mind.
Yeah.
I got the reality so quick and I agreed to it with a smile on my face. Now, the John a week ago or even 2, you kidding me? Mister,
Mhm.
we just confirmed 3 times.
Yeah.
I drove an hour and a half from Fort Lauderdale. I got to drive back.
Yeah.
How can I make a... Just smiled.
Mhm.
I knew what was coming and
Yeah.
it came.
Yeah.
Continued to smile. Wanted to get out of that reality as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
He didn't let me out. He sucked me back in
Yeah.
to talk about it because I accepted the reality too quickly.
Yeah.
But I realized that the quicker I let it go, like a pinch,
Yep.
like a bug bite,
Yep.
it leaves no imprint on my mind. And because it leaves no imprint, it doesn't even register as a reality.
Yeah.
Now, and you go any further than this and it all goes downhill because watch what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to keep it stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Not keep it simple stupid, keep it stupid.
Right.
If I for a moment try to say, I'm never going to get those 4 hours back,
Mhm.
that's the reality.
Right.
You can't give them to me, I can't earn them, they're
Right.
gone. But I can't even look at that or acknowledge it. If I say, you got the same monetary problem that you were anticipating this assignment to solve,
Right.
if I go there, all my theory crumbles.
Yep.
If I just,
When you go there, you're not present anymore.
right, and I'm delving, I want to say that those realities are real and unpleasant,
Right.
but I don't want to be part of it.
And they're
I-
not now, though.
No.
You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah. But instantly the time is gone.
Yeah.
I got to keep it simple. I can't examine that. I
Mhm.
can't say there's 4 hours of your life wasted up and down, prime
Yeah.
time, business day, gas, money. I can't even go there.
Yeah. Because now you're wasting 6 hours instead of 4 hours.
So it's a little counterintuitive
Yeah.
where you can't even, and you can't have an interest in productivity or efficiency
Yeah.
either, because then you're screwed. This whole thing doesn't work.
You know, you really what you're talking about is surrendering to it.
Yeah, and I said to myself, I immediately, in my first thoughts, I immediately surrendered to reality.
Yeah.
But I didn't. Then I meant to surrendered. It wasn't painful.
Yeah.
So surrender.
Stop there. I surrendered to reality and it wasn't painful. Just stop there for a second and then you can continue.
I mean, that's what I did.
You
And
know?
it had no fight in it. It wasn't potent anymore. There was no punch to it.
Nothing.
And the guy had to drag me back to talk to me more about why I'm, in the conventional terms, getting screwed.
Yeah.
And he's probably thinking, who the hell is this guy?
Yeah.
He's driving 4 hours for nothing.
Mhm.
We're here. We got some bogus explanation. We can't get in the building. We don't have the check. It was all lined up a half an hour ago.
Right.
I don't even ask any of those questions.
Yep. Why? What's the point?
And this is where my not caring comes in, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
And when
Yeah, but
but
stay away from not caring.
You're
Stay
going
away
to think
from
it's
that.
not so bad.
Right?
What I'm not caring about is the emotions that come up.
Yeah. See, your relationship to even your own internal
I don't wanna
reactions are
experience
changing.
that.
Yeah.
So I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't like that language. I don't
but
care.
I know you don't like it, but it means the right thing for me.
Yeah. Okay. Be your own
just,
guru
It's just
in
a
that.
nice bridge.
Yeah,
If-
don't let it become apathy. Don't let it become
No.
arguing. You know, don't let it become
It's-
like,
it's-
I don't give a
it's-
shit. Like, don't just be. I
Yeah, no.
understand what you're saying, but I would
It's
encourage you.
inconsequential.
Yeah, I just encourage you to find some
Yeah.
different language, because I don't care. That's not something that we want to cultivate.
Yeah.
You know. But,
So, all in all, the biggest gift I got, what really happened, the
Yeah.
gem in the story was for me,
right.
that I wanted this over so quickly and to leave no imprint on my psyche.
Yeah.
And I got back home and it was like, wow, did you even go down there? Were you even in the car 4 hours?
Was it a dream?
Was it a dream? Because I let it make no impact on my mind.
You were unaffected by it.
And I thought it was so amazingly insightful in retrospect
Yeah.
that I surrendered to the reality immediately.
Like a hot coal.
That's it.
Because what was the alternative to doing that?
But the first thing, nothing. But I had to see.
No. There's an alternative.
Oh, to get all pissed.
Yeah, to get all upset and have
Right.
and just have it take your mind over and
Right.
and wreck your day. Bless you.
The only thing, as long as I keep it for what it
So-
is, it's not an issue. If I look at, I can't get 4 hours back.
It's either
And if I look
Yeah.
at, don't have the money that I was.
it's either that or suffer it.
Right.
Choose.
So
You know,
in the end,
it is
it's
what
like
it is.
didn't even
Just
happen.
like everything
and
else.
I don't know if I said this when I first started speaking, and I'll shut up after this. But my next level in this whole process, Tom,
Mhm.
is like you always said, is for me not even to talk about this.
Mm.
For this to have happened today,
Mm-hmm.
and me to come to a satsang and not even feel compelled
Yeah.
to talk about it.
Yeah.
And that's my next step.
The story you just told is reminiscent of another story that you tell a couple of times about the popcorn on the new shirt,
Right,
like the
right.
oil
And
on
I
the
thought
butter
about
on the
that
new shirt.
because
it's in the past. What are you going to
That's
do?
it.
You're there. They don't have the stuff. They don't have the keys. What are you going to do? Go find some opportunity.
And I wanted to solidify it in the past immediately, as quick as I could.
And so you stayed present, and let's look at that a little differently. You stayed present, and when you were present, that was in the past. So it wasn't in your present anymore.
It was all in the time of 10 or 15 seconds, but
Yeah.
that quickly, right? It was in the
That
past.
quickly. It was in the past. And that's the thing. Like, the end game to this is presence. When you're present, like, you stayed present. You didn't go back to the past. The only way for you to suffer that was for you to go back to the past. And that's why it felt odd to you that, like, you're coming back, you're having no thoughts in the car driving up.
Nothing.
You're just present. You're just breathing and being. That is a state that takes a lot of getting used to. Because we're always thought. It's the thought train, right? Thought. And now you have something that your ego wants to get aggravated about and take your mind over, and you consciously didn't let it.
And I felt unaffected.
Unaffected.
Now, Tom,
You stayed present.
this is the last one thing, Sharon. I'll be quick. The last piece of this, I'm talking about it today because in the future I won't be talking about things like this.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a part of me that gets some satisfaction out of sharing this.
Mm-hmm.
Is that ego-driven? That if I share my episode with
I
others?
think it's you're just sharing what's going on for you and how the teachings are affecting you and what's changed. And I think that that's useful for people to hear, because you've been around a long time, we've been talking for a long time, and so this stuff is very second nature to you. But people who haven't been around long, they don't know what the effects may be of, and that's even actually possible. So I'm always interested in hearing that. And if you ever have any questions, I'm always encouraging you guys to bring your questions to Satsang. Your questions drive Satsang. That's what really makes it juicy, when I can speak directly to your questions instead of us having to assume what your questions are. Would you pass the mic up to Sherry? Did you have something to say?
Just about what John was sharing.
Sure.
You just said that he made a conscious decision,
Mm-hmm.
but what struck me is that it was totally not thought-based at all. There was no conscious decision. It was an automatic reaction. It came so effortlessly without any thought at all.
Yeah.
That it's integrated into his psyche to just, it came and went, and so did he. You know?
I was a star. I was a superstar.
Yeah, and what and it's true. It might not have even actually been a decision in the conventional sense of a decision, other than to remain present. Because if you're remaining present and then this happens here, and you're staying present here in the now, in the moment, This is not here with you.
I think it's striking that people have to realize, who are learning from you and learning from books and learning, that with repetition and over time, it's going to become automatic.
Yeah.
It won't have to be a conscious thought, well, how am I going to react in this situation? Oh, that's good too. But it's going to become smooth and effortless.
It becomes your natural way of being. Like, my natural way of being used to be angry and unconscious and upset and in the future and in the past. Perfect recipe for the soup of suffering, Perfect recipe. That's the opposite of it. Yeah. That's the opposite of it. What you really did, you hear me saying here a lot now, the end game here is staying present. You stayed present. And I want you to realize that. Is that when you were in the car going home, you weren't in your mind in the past with what just happened. That's a beautiful place to be. Yeah. That's the strange thing. That takes a lot of getting used to, because we were just lovingly born into a world, and we inherited all this garbage. We inherited this time-based reality. We inherited all these misunderstandings. The opposite of that is you're driving in the car, but your mind is back there cursing the guy out. And now you're not present anymore. You're in your mind in the past. And like you said, most important thing, there was no pain. We're different people when we're in pain. I'm going to say that a bazillion times to you. And when there's no pain, there's no problem. It's just what happened. And we generate the pain for ourselves. John didn't do that. He said, I'm going to stay present. I'm going to leave that in the past, and I'm going to be here. And that's that. And I don't have any opinion about what happened. I don't have any judgment about what happened. In fact, I have no attention for what happened, but it's back there. I'm here. Why am I looking back there if I'm here? Very interesting. So you're not dealing with mind on the level of mind. You're just staying present. See, maybe I can integrate this a little bit. If you were dealing with mind on the level of mind, you'd been sitting here saying, oh, I shouldn't think that. Let me just let it be. Let me just stay present. Let me do that. And there would be this like conversation going on in your head. You're trying to arrange your thoughts in some way that they don't bring pain to you. You know what I mean? That you don't get upset. You're trying to placate your mind with different thoughts. You didn't think about it.
After that was, I said in the context, what can I do now? Oh, great. I can fit in a workout at the gym before I go to town. Mm-hmm. Where before that wasn't in the schedule.
Right, right.
So I did, after it was all history, I said, what's the positive? Or how can I turn this to a positive?
Yeah.
And my solution was to stop back at home and change and go to the gym.
Yeah. And not even stay out of even positive. Just what can I do?
What can I do now?
What's What's next? How can I take care of myself?
Yesterday at
what's the opportunity?
10 o'clock, Comcast goes out.
Mm-hmm.
Cable, internet, my business internet. I work from home.
Right.
I said, great. I'm going to go outside and futz around on the car with a couple of things that I've been meaning to do on the weekend. I'm going to pool. I'm going to take a swim.
Yeah.
Came back. I called Comcast. It's going to be out to 8 minutes after 2. Mm-hmm. I came back in at 11:30 after an hour and a half of futzing around. It was back. I sat down. I started working.
That's it. Just in the flow.
Now, there's a flaw there too, Tom. What I can't think about, how do I make up the hour and a half I lost?
Right.
If I go that far, this is not good. I have to keep it stupid. A happened. You did B. Now you're back to A. No examinations.
Yeah. Instead of saying keep it stupid, like I just keep wanting to be picky about your language. Stay present. You know, change that languaging to stay present. Because there's so many opportunities in the moment. But if you're not there to see them, you miss them.
It started by me having virtually no reaction to the power and the internet and
Yeah.
everything go out.
Mhm.
And I have deadlines and projects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what's the point
What
of the
can I do
reaction
now? I
anyway?
can't be at this desk.
Yeah,
Immediately, within 30 seconds.
yeah.
Pool, swimming, exercise, car.
Right,
Came back and it was over.
right.
Not even saying, mother effing Comcast, let
Yeah,
me call
yeah.
you for a refund. How you going to...
Right.
Immediately, what can I do now?
Yeah.
What's a positive?
Yeah.
An immediate pivot to something.
Yeah,
Unexamining...
what's the opportunity? Let's try to stay out of those dualistic
Right.
words. What's the opportunity now? What can I do?
Go to the pool
Yeah,
on a Tuesday at 10 o'clock
yeah.
while all the schmucks are working.
Yeah, yeah, right. It's very very interesting. When you hear that, isn't it kind of like weird for you to hear someone travels like 2 hours for a business appointment? Everybody swears that everything's in line. He gets there, and nothing's in line, and it's a waste of time. And he's going back, no thoughts in his head. Isn't that even kind of weird even to just observe?
It's unheard of.
It's unheard of. Like, you're not upset? No, you don't. We have this false sort of belief that getting upset gets us what we want. If I get mad, then I'm going to get what I want. No, you're not. You're just going to be mad, and reality's going to stay reality. What's the wisdom in that? All you do is suffer. All you do is suffer. When you don't surrender to what's so. And there's no need to even have a conversation in your head and deal with your mind on the level of mind. That's when you're having a conversation in your head. That mind, you got to calm down and all. No, just be present. Just breathe. It's the hardest thing for us to do is to be still.
I find it helpful to reassure myself with thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm feeling something negative,
Mm-hmm.
that is arisen,
Mm-hmm.
I'll say to myself, this is nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna pass.
Mm-hmm.
Just sit with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it's actually productive to say positive things to myself if I'm feeling something.
Eventually you won't need to. Eventually you just stay present to whatever is there. You see, because that's exactly dealing with mind on the level of mind. You're trying to placate your mind so that it won't bother you so much. It's going to be fine. Everything's going to be okay. This is not going to happen. That whatever it is, you're trying to convince your mind to calm down, right? That's where you're in mind on the level of mind. And I'm not saying that can't be helpful. You know what I mean? At a certain point. But when you remain as the awareness, as the observer, just watching what the mind is doing, all you have to do is look away. You are not required to think to be here. John, coming home after that, in the car, no thoughts. That's the place where I want you to be. No thoughts. You can use thoughts as tools, but don't let thoughts use you. Right now, thoughts are using you. Almost everyone is dealing with mind on the level of mind. They are trying to somehow arrange their mind in such a way that it minimizes their suffering. It doesn't work for more than a moment. Your spiritual practice is to help you transcend the mind and go beyond mere thought. John transcended his mind, went beyond mere thought, and had no pain and no problem. Where do we want to be? No pain, no problem. When you do, okay, so let me just go back one because it won't make sense. Your spiritual practice is to help you transcend the mind and go beyond mere thought. When you do, you realize that you are the ineffable one beyond words, concepts, and descriptions. Very important line. I want to read it again. When you do, you realize that you are the ineffable one beyond words, concepts, and descriptions. Ineffable means can't be described in words. You see, your whole life and your whole world is a story in your mind in the distinctions in language. It's like reading a fairy tale. And it's not any more real than a fairy tale. Ineffable can't be described in words.
Tom, the other thing on reflecting what you said there is, I lost my thought now. I'll come back to it. Sorry.
Okay. No thought. Good job.
Not what I needed, though. I stalled too long with the questions. It'll come back to me.
Is this on? Can yeah, I think it's on.
Okay.
So, John's story or example sounded very natural, which I would assume through a lot of practice, and it's great. And I think often, in my own case, if I had the same situation, I would start saying these mantras to myself, or I would start telling myself. So I think I am kind of dealing more mind on mind, which then gets to the question of, let's say you had that situation and it just wasn't a natural flow, like the story that we just heard. Then what are the best techniques or the best way to kind of just get you right back to present versus start thinking positive thoughts, That's why I don't know.
This is why, I'm always guiding you forcefully toward having a daily spiritual practice, a daily meditation practice, so that you can experience that thoughtless state directly for yourself. When you have a mental understanding of what the thoughtless state is, you're just right back in, mind dealing with mind. And this is the problem, is that every aspect of our life we've thought about and we've tried to understand. You know what I mean? And it's always like, how do I understand this? How do I understand this? So you're trying to mentally understand how to not think. You're thinking about not thinking. And it doesn't compute. It doesn't ever compute. It's something that you have to begin to experience directly for yourself. And you are going to remain in that dealing with mind on the level of mind. You're going to remain in that. And this is the leap. You know what I mean? This is, that's the leap of realizing that when you don't think, or when just you're able to take your attention away from all thought, rest it in the moment, that you don't need to think to exist. Who was it? Somebody said, I think, therefore I am. Pointed to the most common misconception. It should be, I think, therefore I suffer. The thoughts are not you. You don't need the thoughts to be. And this is what I'm always trying to point you to, is to somehow have that direct experiencing. The reason that John is happening automatically for him now is because he's having these direct experiences of it, and when it feels so good, you just naturally gravitate toward it. You're like, yes, this is home. Yes, this is how I've been wanting to feel my whole life. The problem is I've been trying to think my way into it, and you can't do that. He stopped me in a car driving home, no thoughts about it.
Yeah, that was great. And the other thing, what I just forgot a moment ago, is I noticed that as the guy felt a huge obligation to explain himself,
Yeah.
I had no interest in the story.
Right. What does it matter?
Because it would further solidify the event in my head.
Yeah. Wow. Very good, man. Really good.
That was part of me accepting the reality instantaneously and wanting to
Just let it go.
get away
Hot
like
potato.
like a hot potato.
Yep.
He had to make efforts to explain himself to me.
Yeah.
I was already in the present, and that was already in the past 4 seconds ago.
Right. Yeah.
For the novice who this is not flowing naturally yet
Right.
and feels emotion of irritation
Mhm.
or upset over an event,
Right.
does need a practical, let's say, 3-step tips. Take a deep breath.
Mm.
Maybe
Yeah, I really try to stay away from that, because I'm pointing you away from that, where I want you to go when I do that. Okay? And it'll just keep you round and round the rosy. You know what I mean? It just ring around the rosy, whatever the hell I'm trying to say, right?
but they have to have something practical. They don't know what to do in that.
Well, no, let me help. I don't like techniques. I don't like, mantra can be good. There are things that you can do. But I want to point you right at it. There's no reason that you can't experience that right now. You know what I mean? And I'm about right now. I don't want your enlightenment tomorrow. I want it right now. And so, can you not think? Have you ever experienced a moment where you've not been thinking? Can you experience that right now? Let's just try it. Let's just sit up straight for 15 seconds, right? Bring your attention to your breath and keep your attention away from your thoughts. I'll ring the bell. It'll be very quick, because I know you can't last any longer than that. Here we go. What did you experience? Mm-hmm. That's it. Let me add to this real quick, and then we'll be done with this meme. When you do realize that you are the ineffable one, beyond words, beyond concepts, beyond descriptions, we don't suffer what happens in life. We suffer our thoughts about what happens. What happens to suffering when you go beyond thoughts, when you transcend thoughts?
Doesn't exist.
You just experienced it personally. And this is the very fine minutia that I'm pulling at here. This is a very, very fine minutia that I'm trying to pull apart for you is that you've got to stop trying to massage and placate the mind on the level of mind. It's going to keep you trapped and identified with mind, identified with thought. It's going to keep you in the idea of yourself and the idea of the world and all of these ideas. That's the whole problem. It's all imaginary. We all live on the same world, not in the same world. We live in the world of our minds, the world of our own fairy tale. And if you don't like your fairy tale, then you're suffering your fairy tale. But it's all just mind-based, mind-generated, thought-based stuff. So in that moment, here's what I would suggest. In that moment, you're going to notice the mind says, oh, this person did this, rah, rah, rah. And then you're going to come in and say, okay, mind, just relax. It's okay. It's like the little angel and devil almost, you know what I mean? Or having that conversation sitting on your shoulder. Here's what I suggest you do. I suggest that you realize that you're the one watching the conversation go on in your head. If the conversation has to be there, then you just watch it. And you realize that you're the one that's watching it. You're not the conversation. Your mind is tricking you. It's almost crazy to talk about, crazy to think about that. You know what I mean? There's some argument going on in your head, and you're thinking, I'm the one that's trying to win. No, you're the one watching the conversation, and the mind is having its own argument. The mind is playing chess with itself. And you're not the white, you're not the white pieces, and you're not the black pieces. You're the one watching the game. Did you get that? That was really good. Yeah. And you got to realize, though, that you're the one watching the game. Because the difference is you're thinking you're either the one playing the white pieces or the black pieces. You're neither. You can stop thinking. Thoughts arise in the mind. If you ever look for them, you'll always find them. But they're no different than the air conditioner. That air conditioner was on the whole time. But I guarantee you weren't hearing it until I pointed to it. It was there the whole time. And then we go, oh, the air conditioner's there. What did we just do? We put our attention on it. And then it was there. You take your attention away, it's gone. It's not part of your experiencing. What happens when you take your attention away from thoughts? They're gone. They're there, but they can't affect you.
Is that not a choice?
Is that not a choice? What do you mean? Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Meaning, it's my choice to where to focus my attention. It's my choice to put my hand out when you were with the guy to be already in the new present.
Yes.
Not to stay.
But who
in
is the one
past.
that's choosing? Is the mind choosing?
Well, no, in that situation, it's the awareness.
Yes.
But it's still.
Yes, definitely. The awareness guides the most powerful tool you have, the attention. You guide the attention to the air conditioner, you experience it. You guide the attention away. And yes, you are consciously doing that. So that's where I get a little confused. Choosing, you are consciously choosing that. You, the awareness, consciously guiding the attention. Very, very important. Consciously guiding it.
Rather than I'm making the decision as the mind to not think about something.
Right. Because I should or whatever. You know what I mean? It becomes this whole mental, mind-based thing. And as you separate as the awareness, and you begin to be able to guide the attention where you want it, now you can use the mind like a library almost. Oh, I want to read this book. I want to read that book. I need these concepts. I need those. So there is very much presence and consciousness in it, and very consciously aware. Even if your attention keeps going to the thought, keeps going to the air conditioner, you can be consciously aware that your attention is not cooperating. That it's habitually doing things that you don't want it to do. You can even remain aware of that. Your mind can be coming off the rails, and you can stay conscious and aware of that and be present to it and allow your mind to come off the rails and be generally unaffected by it.
Yeah, because it almost feels like the first sentence that you read in the meme, when we're trying to figure out mind on mind, we don't allow space for the awareness and for the attention for the awareness to be there.
Yeah.
Because we're on top of each other the whole time.
Yes. That's the thing, is that, like, very good point, that, when it's mind dealing with mind, most people are not aware that there's anything other than mind. There's no space. There's no, like, they're not aware that they are the awareness that is aware of what's going on in the mind. So they don't know. They know what I mean? Like, so you have to, you have to understand that, I don't like a word, but you have to realize that awareness exists, because we've been lost in a sea of thoughts. And most people aren't aware of the awareness. That they are the awareness watching the thoughts. They are believing themselves to be the thoughts, and have never stepped back and said, wait a minute, these thoughts are not me. I'm the one witnessing the thoughts. I'm the one witnessing the conversation. They're so identified as these thoughts are me. When you're identified as these thoughts are me, you can't get away from them, because they're you. But when you're the one that's watching them, now you can get away from them. So you have to realize that this awareness is there. And that's the difficulty, is because you can have a mental understanding of, oh, I'm the awareness and I'm not my thoughts, and you can parrot that all you want. But until you really experience it for yourself, it's not really meaningful. I know you've had that experience directly. It's hard to put into words. But you're just sitting there. You're completely present. You're completely peaceful and joyful for no reason. And the thoughts are gone. And you're sitting in your true nature, being absolutely not bothered by these psychological formations. And it's such a new place to be, And that's the other thing, too, is about thought. We never realized that there was, like, silence in our minds. That there's a thought, and then maybe there's a little silence. Sometimes there's a lot of silence. But the silence, the emptiness of that, it's not something tangible. That it was just a pause between thoughts. Thoughts are like, space, like outer space. And you can dwell in that space of silence as opposed to dwelling in the space of thoughts. So what I'm doing is if I don't help you realize that there's somewhere else to go, you have nowhere to go. You know what I mean? Like, I can say to you, that these thoughts are not you, but without a realization that I am the awareness, the only thing left are thoughts. You see what I mean? There's nowhere to go. Without the realization that there is silence in your mind, the only place for your attention to go is back to your thoughts. So I'm saying these thoughts are only a part of what you're experiencing. They're a part of what's arising in your mind, you see? And these thoughts are are in this big space of silence. Thoughts, silence. Now my attention has somewhere to go. If there's just thoughts, where's my attention going to go? It can only go to thoughts. If I'm identified as thoughts, right? And I'm not realizing, wait, who is the one that is identified as the thoughts? If I'm not realizing that, then there's nowhere to go. If I'm believing myself to be thoughts, but I'm not realizing that there's something other than thoughts, I'm stuck in my thoughts because I have nowhere to go. But when you realize that you are the one that is aware of the thoughts, now you can remain as this one. And when you realize that there are thoughts and there are silence in the mind, and that I can dwell with my attention just in the silence, and I don't need to give these thoughts any attention, wow! Now I'm residing as the self, dwelling with my attention in silence, present, driving up 95. No problem, no suffering, no pain. Let's drink that in for a minute. We're being waterboarded by thoughts. Absolutely. And it's just, we don't know how to stop it. Yeah, like 50 to 70, they say. I said that one time in Satsang and someone said, really, that's it? It feels like more. Mm-hmm.
Might be the only time during the entire day they have silence and everything.
And even if they do, if you don't realize that the silence is there, if you don't realize yourself as the awareness, even meditation is kind of useless. It's good to relax, but you're really not training your mind. You're really not getting used to being without thoughts. Which is, or just being used to remaining seated as the observer, Go ahead.
So, I guess kind of in our, society.
Uh-oh.
Well, I'm trying to figure out, no, I'm trying to understand, in the past, to make myself feel better, I would try to stay busy. Keep active, keep doing stuff, keep going. Now I'm not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm definitely suffering more.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that it's important to not just, like you said, satisfy mind on mind by just keeping myself busy and keeping myself distracted, really.
Yes.
From what's actually
right
going on inside of me.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
It's challenging because it's kind of the, I don't know, not the antithesis, but the antithesis of what you're pulled to do.
What you're conditioned and what's
Yeah.
normal in
Yeah.
society. Yeah. Like, those of us that are here studying this stuff, we're going in the opposite direction of everybody else. Just know that. Everybody else is getting busier and busier and busier, and we're getting more still and more still and more still. And we got the hard job. It's easy to be busy. When you're busy, all you're doing is giving your attention some place to be. That's all it is. When you get busy, You bury your head in a project, your attention is focused on the project, and you get very present, whether you realize it or not, and that's why it has a soothing effect.
So then with that logic, then it is okay to keep busy because you're bringing
No.
yourself into presence.
No, well,
No.
let me finish. You're not knowingly, consciously bringing yourself into presence. You're doing something that you naturally know feels soothing. I feel soothed when I'm busy. But that's not really a conscious thing that's going on. We all have experiences, we all have histories, and we all have pain. Okay? And the reason that people struggle with meditation, struggle with coming to something so spiritual like this where we're really stripping it down, is that they don't want to be with their pain. When you're really still in meditation, bloop, 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 no more distractions, no more pushing it down, no more, not allowing your attention to be there. It starts coming up, bloop, 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 here's the pain. And this is why people run from it, because they don't want to feel pain. They're running from their pain. We all have pain. When you sit with your pain and you bring the light of your consciousness to your pain, it begins to dissolve. Sometimes you need to do some cognitive work. Sometimes you need to understand what thoughts are connected to that pain. Sometimes, if you just can't shake it, sometimes you need to do some cognitive work like that, But ultimately, when you sit with your pain, what do you notice about your pain? Do you sit and do you bring your attention to it, and do you just be aware of it? Or do you fight with it?
I definitely fight with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at times I can sit with it,
Mhm.
but overall, no, I attempt to find something else to occupy the attention on my pain.
Yeah.
Whether it's going for a walk or turning on the TV,
Yeah.
or anything.
I do the opposite.
Mm.
I really sit with my pain and I bring all of my attention to it. And that doesn't mean think about it. There's other exercises that I do sometimes to try and pinpoint what thought is connected to the pain if I have to. Because sometimes you can sit there and think thoughts and then you feel bzzz in your, you know what I mean? You feel the thought that connects there. And that can be helpful in releasing the pain sometimes too, when you understand, what thoughts are connected to that psychological formation. But what's interesting is that when you just sit and be silent and you don't think about your pain, you just, with your mind's eye, with your attention, you're observing it. What is it? Just in a curious way. Without really thinking about it, you're just looking at it. You're just feeling it. You're just experiencing the pain. Have you ever done it? Last night? Would you talk into the mic? Would you tell us would you pass the mic up, John? Thanks.
Oh, thank you. I was watching a movie, and I don't know, there was some love scene or whatever, and I just had this pang, this terrible feeling in my chest all of a sudden, because I didn't have that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have what they were experiencing. And a thought came out of nowhere. I felt like it wasn't even my thought, but someone talking to me, and it said, "Where did that come from? What is that?" And it just was. It was just this heaviness in my chest. And I'm like, okay. And then I just continued watching the movie, but it was just this feeling that came out of nowhere.
What
And
did
then
you
the thought-
What did you notice when you stayed present to it?
I noticed two things. One was I couldn't pinpoint what that was, what that feeling was. I knew it. It
Or
didn't
even
feel-
exactly where it is.
I
even.
knew exactly where it was.
Okay.
I didn't know why, and I didn't know where it came, like why all of a sudden. And then I realized that it was sadness. Like it was just a split second though of where'd that come from? What is that?
Yeah.
Sadness? Okay. And then I continued watching the movie. My
Right.
tension wasn't
Yeah.
there anymore.
Right.
And then it went away and I forgot
Yeah.
about it until you
Interesting.
just mentioned it now.
Wow. What you'll find sometimes that like when the pain is there, we're very much used to and conditioned and rehearsed in running from pain. You know, when we feel pain, that's when we start doing the dance. You know, when we feel pain, the number one thing we want is that pain off of us. Okay?
Just like, hello. Okay. And
Right.
then it goes away.
Yeah. Here's what I want to suggest to you. Okay? When I sit with that pain and I'm just breathing into it, and I'm just trying to notice what this sensation is. Pain is just a sensation. It's an uncomfortable sensation, but it's just a sensation. It can't really do anything to you. Now you also know that this pain is being created by you, by the mind-body, right? In the form of a psychological formation, thoughts and feelings that are connected. So you're generating this for yourself, right? Now you also know that you're not doing this consciously, because you would never generate those feelings consciously. So when you become conscious to this discomfort and you're just sitting and I'm just bringing my attention to it, what I find is it starts to break up. It starts to let go. It starts to maybe move around a little bit. Like I have a hard time like pinpointing it. It morphs and moves. It's a strange energy that it seems like, you know, like I'm shining a flashlight, you know, on, you know, whatever, a rat in the dark, and every time I put the flashlight on it, it runs. I put the flashlight over there, it runs. I put it over there, it runs. But what you notice is that you start to become friends with your pain. Like you start to realize that your pain is not anything that needs to be run from. And that all it is an uncomfortable sensation. And so you just stay present to it and you allow these risings in your humanness. The problem is that for most people who don't understand these type of teachings and don't know what's going on, is they feel the pain. They want to run from the pain. And so they resist it. And it feeds on the resistance. And the pain provokes negative thoughts. And then it feeds on the negative thoughts. So pain and then negative thought creates negative thoughts. And then negative thoughts creates pain. And pain creates negative. And it goes whoo, 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 whoo. And you get very upset because you're feeling so poorly inside. But when you feel that pain, it pulls you up into your head. And then the mind just starts punching you in the face. You can't let the pain take you over. I feel the pain. Don't think that spiritual teachers don't feel pain. Don't think that they're not human. You're making a mistake. Their relationship to their pain is different than your relationship to your pain. I'm just observing it. I have no problem with it. And I know that if I stay present to it and I allow it, I can just let it come and let it go. Most times it will just go away. Sometimes it will linger. When it lingers, I just be with it. But we're so conditioned to be generating this pain inside us too, we don't even know how we're doing it. But it's been there for so long, and it's felt this way for so long, that we don't even really know who we are without it. And many times, people become identified with thoughts, we say, right? But also, many times, people become identified with their pain. I have students that come to me and they're in pain, and I start doing the things that I need to do to help them release their pain. And they go, hey, don't try to take this from me. Because they don't know who they are without it. How awesome would it be to live life without pain? The pain that you're generating for yourself. And that doesn't mean that sadness won't come. I'm not talking about sadness. I always make this distinction. Sadness is a catharsis. Sadness is releasing energy during a loss, something that you need to experience. You know, an animal, a friend passes away, you're going to be sad. You're not going to be happy. But you don't have to create pain around that. Pain is what happens when your mind says, oh, that shouldn't have happened, and why me, and life sucks, and all this other stuff. Then you start to have pain. Then you have sadness and pain. But most people don't know who they are without their pain. And so what happens is the pain begins to leave them, and then they go, whoa, this is weird, and they start looking for it. Let me see if it's still there. Well, every time you look for it, you're going to provoke it. You're going to create it. So you have to get used to living without pain. You have to experience moments without pain, change your relationship with pain, allow it to release, and then get comfortable not creating it for yourself anymore.
What would you suggest to people who aren't suffering their thoughts, they're suffering their emotions? They're always angry, they're always upset, they're always irritated. They don't even know where these emotions come from.
Well, that's what I'm talking about, is the pain. You know, I mean, the pain from really negative emotions. Emotions I see as sort of an energetic pain. So I just use kind of more of a generic term to encompass all of those. You know what I mean? Is that, you know, anger, whatever, anxiety, depression. If you look at those, basically all of those are code words for fear. Okay? So if we're going to talk about emotions, there are two basic emotions, love and fear. And I don't mean in love, you know what I mean? I mean love. I mean the love that you have, like when a puppy dog comes running at you, you know, the love you feel when you see a rainbow, you know, the love of a child or something like that, the love that has no opposite, right? It always feels good, right? So if it's not that, you know it's fear, some form of fear. And if you think about our evolutionary, you know, ancient evolutionary wiring, you know, fear, you know, is a big part of it. You know, we were animals, you understand that, right? And we're wired a certain way. I mean, even Willow, who I got when he was this big, and I have just done nothing but love and nurture and take care of him. If I move too quick, he's like, "What the hell are you doing?" And we're wired for fear. So now, as humans evolve, you know what I mean? We're needing to become conscious of our ancient wiring, and understand how we're generating this stuff, and consciously change that wiring. And when you're in meditation and when you're in spiritual practice, you are most definitely rewiring your mind. I don't have the same mind that used to torture me in my early 20s. I couldn't even suffer the things that I was suffering then, because it's not the same mind. It comes from awareness, understanding, and most importantly, practice. You know, you have to know what you're practicing and why. It's really the challenge in stepping out of this mind-based, thought-based state, this mind-based, thought-based world, is that everything that you think you know is thought-based. So you step out of thoughts and everything disappears. Your world disappears, and who you think you are, your worldly identity, disappears too. But that's okay. None of that's real anyway. The only things that can disappear are the things that were never real to begin with. And this is why I always share this sort of, adage or whatever you want to call it, that there is no Tom Notarianni. It's so plain to see that I did not come here Tom Notarianni. I came here. I was born here. I woke up here. And the people around me told me I was Tom Notarianni. And I believed them. And they didn't stop there. Good boy if you do this, bad boy if you do that, live this way, don't live that way, believe this, don't believe that. blah, 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 all concepts in the mind. That conceptual idea I have of myself is my ego, my mind-made structure, conceptual structure of who I am, what I am. Are you the same person you thought you were a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago? Which one are you? It's not even stable. But the awareness that is aware of that story is completely stable. That awareness has never changed. It's just aware. It's aware of the knowledge in the mind. It's aware of the name that you are. It's aware of all this other stuff. And it's always just been aware. That's it. It's aware of when things changes. It's aware of when thoughts changes. It's aware of everything. But the awareness, always the same. And so we're trying to break free of the shackles of this concept-based reality that lives only in your mind. Only in your mind. And it's different for everyone. And so just from seeing that so plainly, you can so plainly see that to be true. Right? Everybody is living in a different world in their head. And that's why we suffer different things, And that's why different people have different problems and different issues, because the mind is different. The mind is interpreting and perceiving differently. And it's all just a fairy tale. And so this goes back to mind, mind on the level of mind. Then we try to arrange our mind in some certain way that the mind is not upset. But you're still in fairy tale land. When you go beyond mind, when you go beyond thought, all of that disappears, and all of the problems that come with it disappear. And then you use your mind, and it doesn't use you. And you create, and you live, and you do whatever you want, Not many people would do what you want to do, Because they would have all these fears and all these ideas and all these thoughts, and you know what I mean? They would never even consider it. Oh, you can't do that. How many times have people said that to you in your life? Oh, you can't do that. I'm going to quit my job as a director in a medical facility to go teach satsang under a tree. Oh, you can't do that. Okay. Well, I just did. And now it's 11 years, August 4th is also the birthday of the Peaceful Mind Center. My birthday and Peaceful Mind Center birthday. It just worked out that I could start the Peaceful Mind Center right on that birth, 2008. And 11 years, here I am still doing it. You can do whatever you want with life. The only confines you have are the ones that you put on yourself. And the thing is, my whole thing with this satsang and with these teachings and what we're doing is to have a fun life. If we're going to be here, let's enjoy the shit out of this. Let's let this just be one big party. And just have fun and have it be exciting. I mean, you're living, whether you realize it or not, you are in Wonderland and you are Alice. And there's nothing but miracles going on around you everywhere you look. Everywhere you look. It's incredible. This place is incredible. Unbelievable. I was flying in the plane above the clouds, looking at the formations of the cloud, and I'm just like, look at me, sipping a glass of water 30,000 feet in the air like it's nothing. I mean, we miss the miracle of life because we're so in our head, in our fairy tale. You can do anything you want. And if you're open to life, and you're open to what life is offering, as opposed to trying to fit life into what your fairy tale is and how it should be and how it's supposed to be, when you're trying to jam life into, and life's saying, no, 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 this is not the experience we're bringing to you. We're bringing different experience. And you're like, no, I want this experience. You know, you gotta surf life like a wave. And just look for the opportunities in every moment, and there are opportunities everywhere, every moment. When you're present, it's so beautiful. We create suffering for ourselves. And I just want y'all to stop it. I see people suffer and suffer and suffer, and I suffered and suffered and suffered. I understand it. And I think, my goodness, what a, you know, it does not have to be this way. There is a way. You know, but in order, you know, to step out of the fairy tale in your mind and into reality, you have to realize that there's something other than the thoughts in your mind. You have to realize that. I can't just tell you that. That just keeps it a concept in your mind. Well, I'm not myself. I understand that. No, you can't understand that. The mind cannot understand the self. The moment that the mind tries to make a conceptual idea out of the self, it's gone. You're back in your head making ideas of things again. But when you can just sit and be and just experience being without the mind, you know, there's no doubt in your mind. You don't need these thoughts. Thoughts are tools for you to use. That's all. But it's not required to think every day. It's not required to think every moment. You know, I guess it is required to think every day if you're going to make breakfast, if you're going to do things to take care of yourself, right? But what I mean is that it doesn't have to be 50 million thoughts, you know what I mean? 50,000 thoughts a day, you know. Maybe you could have 100 thoughts and live your day. And why? Because then we stop suffering. We're suffering our thoughts, our ideas, our concepts of how life should be, our concepts of what I should experience when I'm here. You know, who here is where they thought they would be at this point in their life? You know, I mean, oh God, are you kidding me? If you would have saw me when I was 19 rolling the kegs down into the frat house basement, you'd be like, that guy is not going to be sitting here at the Duncan Center teaching about spirituality and the mind. But you just never know where life's going to take you. But when you just allow it, and you just stay present in the moment, there's just peace and joy with all of it. You're no longer saying, you know, I need life to be this way to be happy. Because it's your mind that tells you that. It's your mind that puts conditions on life. There are people that would kill to have your life right now. I guess there are people too that would, you know, that wouldn't want your life either. It's both. It's not inherently anything, is all I'm saying. Somebody said, I can't remember the guy who said this, but he said, you know, the mind can make a heaven of hell or a hell of heaven, and thinking makes it so. That's it. And that's why, you know, we want to go beyond thought. We want to disidentify with thought. The cause of all the problems. So I don't want you to... Do you have a question? A comment?
I guess I'm trying to. You say disidentify with thoughts and then also not have thoughts
Mm-hmm.
and only have 100 thoughts or whatever the number is. To me, it feels like disidentifying with the thoughts is beneficial because the thoughts are kind of always going to arise,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's 50,000 or
Yeah.
however many, so that I'm not choosing not to have thoughts. I'm choosing not to identify with the thoughts.
Well, yes. Or be interested in the thoughts even.
Right. Okay.
Right? You know what I mean? Like, yes, the thoughts will definitely be there. But what starts to happen is that the more that you dwell in silence and the more that you get comfortable in silence, the thoughts seem to come around less and less and less. It's, they come knocking on the door, they want you to come out and play, and you're not answering the door, the knocking stops after a while. It just does. And I think that happens because we become comfortable in silence. So the thoughts are not interesting to us. It's like the air conditioner. Did you hear it? It's been going the whole time. Yeah. And that's the other, noise is such a great word. Because when you experience these silent states, very peaceful, very present, and then some chatter comes, you're like, oh, get it away from me. It makes you want to vomit. And it's a strange thing. Like, you'll see many spiritual beings, spiritual teachers, spiritual beings, they're so quiet. And even when you go to talk to them, they don't really want to say much. It's really interesting. And it's funny because you work so hard to calm your mind. And then someone wants to come and start ruffling it up. You're like, hey. Talk a little slower. Be a little calmer. Because we do realize, what creates the causes and conditions for our mind to be peaceful. We do realize we realize how wonderful it is to sit in silence, how peaceful, how joyful it is to just sit in silence. And our whole life, we've been trying to make our life a certain way so that we can feel good inside. We've been trying to make life outside the way we think we need it to be so we can feel good inside. And what we're realizing is that it's the exact opposite of that. All I have to do is settle down inside, and then outside is fine, however it is. When you need outside to be a certain way, you're screwed. Because it's always changing out there. And you don't control any of that. None of it. If you ever sat down and thought about the things you control, you would be so disappointed. Because you don't control anything. And now you're saying, oh, my happiness is dependent on all these things that I don't control. No. You got to turn that around. You got to realize that the most important thing is your inner state. It's the only thing that's important. That's fine when this is fine. That is upset when this is upset. This is what's important. Stay hydrated, eat right, exercise, meditate every day, keep your house clean, pay your bills on time and have a structure for your finances, laundry done, dishes done, bills paid, and stay present. And you will find such great peace in that practice. And it almost seems too simple in some ways, but try to do it. It's simple, but it's not easy for a human being. And we have the Zen cards out there somewhere. You take one, you pick it up, and you start to focus on your inner world. And you start to bring your attention to your inner world and cultivating your inner world the way that you want it. You know, the way that you know that when you go beyond mind, it just allows the true self of just peacefulness and joyfulness effortlessly to be there for no reason. It's just what you are. You're not becoming it. It's just covered up by all of this mind stuff. And so you get rid of the mind stuff. That's what's there. That's it. And so you're trying to get rid of the mind stuff. And I'm describing to you how to do that and what to practice and what are some of the pitfalls and here's what you need to do. And when you begin to experience it, you just start being pulled toward it. You're being pulled, just toward what you know feels good in a very meaningful way. You see? Shall we meditate? I've been babbling for a long time here.
You have not been babbling.
Would you turn that mic off? Does anybody need to use the facilities or anything? See you. Good to see you. Okay. Good luck. Okay. So close your eyes, and as you hear the sound of the bell, let it clear your mind. Bring your attention to this moment. And as the bell fades, just stay here with your attention here. Take a few moments to just relax yourself in your own way. The first thing that you want to do is really just let the tension out of your body, out of the muscles in your body, out of the muscles in your face. And that will help you relax and be present. You can feel gravity pulling you down as your body relaxes. With each exhale, let a little more tension go until even the most subtle tension is gone. that you're relaxed, come into presence if you're not there already. And the way that you do that is you let go of any thoughts about past, have no interest, and even 10 seconds before, and let go of all thoughts about the future. 1 second from now, 5 seconds from now, an hour from now. You have no interest in any thoughts about past, any memories, any thoughts about future, any imagination. And you're fully here in this moment. Just practice that for a few moments. You may feel yourself really coming into presence right now. Because without past and without future, the only thing left is this present moment. You may find that your mind wants to have some chatter about it. You can be in this moment without thinking about it. Just breathe. Just sit and feel the sensations that the air makes as it moves in and out of your nose. Make sure that your face stays relaxed. Make sure that your eyes are not moving underneath your eyelids. And just breathe and be aware of this moment, of what's happening outside you, what's happening inside you. You remain as the one that is aware, without thinking, judging, labeling. Allow things to be exactly as they are. Surrender to them and stay present. If thoughts come, it's okay. Let them come. Let them go. Don't give them any attention. Remember to dwell with your attention in the silence. And if your attention wanders from the silence to a thought, it's okay, just bring it back to the silence and get comfortable in the silence. And just breathe and stay present and dwell in the silence until you hear the bell. Did you experience some silence? Did it feel good? Do you see a little more clearly what you're after in your practice? You got to practice, because you've been practicing the opposite way the whole rest of your life. Now you're practicing this. The more you practice, the easier it is to slip into that state. You know? So just keep trying, just keep practicing. And as you begin to more directly experience the things that I'm sharing with you, you're going to hear what I'm saying on a whole new level. So just keep trying. This is, very different from most things you've ever heard before, ever. So, all right. I love you all very much, and it's always an honor to share this time and space with you. Free hugs at the end of class. Facebook peeps, thank you for being here.